What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. And what a week it has been. I literally posted yesterday. I was like, it is 10:15 in the morning. Harry Styles and Zoe Kravitz have already been spotted in Rome together. Taylor Swift is about to start another countdown. Amaya and Bryan have unfollowed each other from Love Island. Like, what else can happen this week? Because it's not even 12 o'clock on a Monday. And now it is 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. And somehow the week has already gotten longer. I mean, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are literally engaged. What the fuck? We will get into it in just a second. On the topic of Taylor Swift, just to update our Taylor tally, we now have 7 album covers for The Life of a Showgirl. So I believe we have officially just passed Tortured Poets department, but we are not quite past Midnights yet. So, we're collecting them like Infinity Stones this album era. And we will see how many album covers we get by October 3rd. But like I said, we are at 7 right now. So who's to know how many more we get? My bet is that we're going to get 8. 4 for the CDs, 4 for the vinyls, and that's including like the standard, So I think we're gonna get 1 more, and then hopefully we wrap it and we'll just get like signed CDs and vinyls and then merch. But you never know with Taylor Swift, because sometimes she announces a new album variant, and other times she's announcing her engagement, which I just I can't stop thinking about it. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hello, welcome. I hope you guys are doing fabulous. I also have some explaining to do, because I know I said last week or the week before that I was done talking about Freakier Friday. However, I spent my Friday night with the it girl of all it girls herself, Miss Lindsay Lohan, and we unfortunately have to talk about Freakier Friday. What do I mean, unfortunately? I will talk about this movie until the day that I die. But yes, I did go see Freakier Friday for a 3rd time. And now, in my defense, I didn't plan to see this movie 3 times in theaters. I was fully content with twice, once at the premiere, once at the early screening that AMC did, and then like calling it a wrap and waiting until it comes out on streaming. However, Disney then announced they were doing this special screening in New York, and Lindsay reposted it and said, I'll see you there. So I was like, she's got to be there. And then I was able to get a ticket, and I was even considering, after I was able to get the ticket, I was like, do I need to go the 3rd time? Like, should I go? Like, whatever. And then Friday night rolled around. I had nothing else going on. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, what else do I have? What else is going on? I couldn't get Lady Gaga tickets. I still haven't gotten a Lady Gaga ticket because it is nearly impossible to get a ticket that is not $700. But I am not going to get into that, because I literally was at the box office an hour ago. That's why I'm recording later than usual, because I was trying to get a ticket and it is just not happening. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Where was everybody during the Joanne era when I was able to get tickets day of, or Chromatica when I could get a ticket day of for $150? But you know what? Happy for Stephanie. Happy she is living her rah-rah fantasy at the Garden. Live your life. I guess I will catch you either tomorrow or next tour. But that being said, Lindsay fucking Lohan. So I go to this screening. I show up to the AMC and I walk in, and the guy who scans my ticket is like, oh my God, you're here for Freakier Friday? Come with me. And he brings me to another line, and it's like a line of people going up to this other woman, and she's giving out like these little cards. And I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? And they gave out a free voucher for popcorn and a soda. And I was like, that's nice, but like something's definitely going on. Then I get to the movie theater and they give me a free Pink Slip t-shirt. I get my popcorn, I get my soda, I go in, they have a DJ, they have someone doing trivia, they have like purple and green boas and pom-poms and just like all of this fun Y2K stuff. You could win the popcorn bucket and the soda cup. Like, they were making it an entire event for this screening. And I was like, Lindsay is literally showing up. Like, Lindsay is about to walk in, give us a little speech, and like, I get to watch this movie again. Like, how fabulous. And it didn't just end there. No. Lindsay Lohan walks in as fabulous as ever, gives the cutest little speech, just so excited to be there, especially being in New York, where she's from, and just like so excited about this movie and like being there with all of us. And on her way out, she starts meeting every single person in the theater. So obviously I'm like, well, I'm going to go get a photo with the it girl of all it girls, because that is my girl. And like, I feel like my life has, led me to this moment. Granted, I've met Lindsay before, but when opportunity knocks, you got to answer the door. And so I went over, got my picture with Lindsay. She was so sweet. It was super quick, but it was, still happy. Just like what a insane way to spend my Friday night. I fully was like, maybe I'll go to the movie, maybe I won't, like whatever. Then I had nothing else to do, so I was like, screw it, let's go. And I ended up meeting Lindsay Lohan. I think the funniest part of it is that I met Lindsay, posted the photo on Twitter and on Instagram, and then the movie started. So I literally had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I didn't say anything for 3 hours. Like, I just posted these photos and went off the grid and was like, see you guys later. Like, catch you when the movie's over. And I woke up. I walked out of the movie theater to so many DMs, so many texts and tweets. People were like, Andrew, what the fuck do you mean? And why are you not answering your phone? I was like, I was at a movie. I can't be rude. I was like, what am I supposed to do? However, I will say it was incredibly hard to sit in that movie theater and watch this movie after I had just met Lindsay Lohan. I was like, I just met Anna Coleman and I'm watching her on the screen. Like, what the fuck? And I don't get starstruck, I don't get like giddy or freak out or anything like that. But it was just like so serendipitous. Like I wasn't planning, I wasn't going to go. Like I fully was like, I'll skip it. Like I don't need to go a third time. And then something in me was like, go to this movie, just do it. Spend your Friday night at the AMC as you love to do. And the movie was free because I have AMC A-list. So technically it was free. So like, it is what it is. It evened out. And I am so glad that I went. And now I believe we are officially done talking about Freakier Friday, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to cross my T's, dot my I's on that conversation yet, because who the fuck knows what else will happen with this movie, because it seems to be the gift that keeps on giving. But that being said, enough about me. We have a lot to talk about this week, like a lot. So I think the best way to approach this situation is to hop right in. And you know how we do it. We kick it off with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week, and our new releases coming up this week. We actually had a lot of releases from last week, and spoiler alert, they were all fabulous. Kicking it off with one of my favorites, though, is Jay Stevens with her new EP, Sellout 2. I was saying last week how her first EP, Sellout, that came out last year, was constantly on repeat. Like, I was obsessed with this EP. And the second part is no exception. I am loving it. It is just so fun and so good. And she just has such a I feel like she really knows her sound and knows like the kind of music she wants to make. And I just love it. My favorites on this project are SMH, Afterbody, and That's My Baby. But the entire project is great. And then I listened to it and I made like a playlist on Apple Music of the like the first part of the EP and then the second one, just to like put it in order. And like as a full project, it is so great. If you like poppy R&B kind of vibe, you will love this album. I wouldn't say it's as R&B as Coco Jones. It's a little more poppy than that, but she definitely has some moments like that. But it's so good. I would say Body Favors is probably a great place to start if you want to start somewhere between the two projects, but really just like press play on both EPs. And I think you guys will love it. I am loving it. Again, that is Jay Stevens, Sellout number 1 and number 2. The next release that we had was Miss Doja Cat, Jealous Type. And I didn't even realize this song was coming out this week because I feel like she's been teasing it for so long, and I've been so excited because it sounds so great. And now that we have the entire song, I'm like, oh, she is doing it. She is back, and I am so excited. I love this track. It's got like an 80 kind of funk, I don't even know what to call it. It is just so good. I am obsessed with it. And of course I'm obsessed with it because it is produced by no other than Jack Antonoff. And anybody listening to this, if you do not like Jack Antonoff or say that his production is boring, say that he does the same thing over and over, you're wrong. You are just so incredibly wrong. And one thing about me is I will never tolerate Jack Antonoff slander. Like, he is so talented and like he can do so many different things. He has so many different facets and avenues and ways that he does, creates music and produces. And like, this song is a perfect example of why Jack Antonoff is such a great producer, because he can produce something a little slower or sadder, like something, that Taylor Swift is putting out. But then he can give us this fun Doja Cat. I mean, he also did Short and Sweet with Sabrina. Like, he has such range in his production. Like, he is so incredibly talented. And every time I see people hating on him and like rolling their eyes that somebody is working with him, I'm like, you guys just don't get it. Like, you simply do not understand the talent and like the length in which he goes to make a song great. Jack Antonoff, you will always have a home at this podcast. We will always love and always stand and always support. And this new Doja Cat track is no exception. Her album comes out in September. I want to say September 26th, but don't quote me on that. I know it's like later in the month, so I'm very excited for the album. I think it's going to be really good. Doja Cat and I've always loved her music. Her as a person, she's I go through phases where I'm like, oh, like she's fine, whatever. And then sometimes I'm like, she's doing a little too much. But you know what? You forgive, you forget, you move on, you do what you got to do. The music is great. And that's what I'm here to do. Listen to the music. Moving on to the next, actually another EP that we had is from an artist called Adela or Adela. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but she is fantastic. Her new EP is called The Provocateur, and I am loving it. I've actually been listening to her for a few months, but didn't realize it was her. One of my friends kept sending her songs in the group chat, and my boyfriend kept saying, oh my God, she's so good. Oh my God, you have to listen. You will love her. And I kept like listening to her here and there, but it was one of those things where like I would listen to it, I would really like it, and then I would kind of be like, oh, I got to go back and like, you know, dig into this artist more, and I just never dug back into it. And then when this EP came out, I saw so many people posting it and talking about it, and I was like, who is this? And I listened to it, and I was like, holy shit, I know who this is. I've heard half of these songs already, and it is such a great EP. You'll probably know Machine Girl on the EP. It had a moment on TikTok. It went kind of viral. But the whole EP is incredible. I'm loving Super Scar, Sex and the Beat, Home Wrecked. Such a great EP. I actually also found out that she was supposed to be in Cat's Eye, and she apparently is in the documentary that's on Netflix that's been on my list to watch. And she was supposed to be a member of that band. And then I think the thing with like Cat's Eye and groups like that is like they go through all of these rounds of different, they do like almost like screen testing for like a TV show, you know, like they bring in all these different characters and see who works best together. And I think she did make it to like one of the final rounds of being in the girl group, and then she just didn't make it. But her music is so good, and I am absolutely loving it. She is phenomenal. I'm really excited to see like what she does next and kind of like how she takes this EP and kind of lives through this moment, you know, and like how she not capitalizes on it, because not everything has to be about capitalism, but, you know, capitalizes on this moment and makes the most of it. But again, that is Adela, the Provocateur, loving that. And then the final release that we had last week was a single from no other than Tori Kelly, who we love here on this podcast. It's called Make a Baby, and I am loving it. I just think Tori Kelly's voice, there's no way in which I couldn't like something she put out, even when she has her moments where she gets a little, you know, a little Jesus freaky, a little religious, which to each his own, you know, different strokes for different folks. Who am I to judge? But it's not something that I usually subscribe to. However, Tori Kelly, I will always listen to it because her voice is just, I could listen to her sing The Phone Book and I would enjoy it. Like I would be like, this is a bop, #1 on Billboard. I don't care. It is phenomenal. Tori Kelly is incredible, and I'm loving this new single. I'm not sure if this is going to be like a new single that goes into an album. I feel like she just released an album not that long ago. Actually, it might have been like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now. God, time flies when you're talking into a mic every single week. But she did put out a project not too long ago that I loved. It was like that purple cover album. It's slipping my name what it's called, so I apologize there, but it was so good. I remember we talked about it a lot when it was getting released because she was doing singles and she released the whole project and I loved it. So maybe it is time for a new Tori Kelly album. I guess we will see, but I'm really liking this single. Again, she could sing The Phone Book. She could sing me a Chinese takeout menu and I would be like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. She is just a once in a lifetime talent and I love her. And that wraps up our releases from last week. Moving on to our releases coming out this week is a huge one. We have Sabrina Carpenter's new album, Man's Best Friend, dropping this Friday. And I am so excited for this album. Now, I do have some bad news. Well, not bad news, but some sad news, I guess. If you were excited for my Sabrina Carpenter takes, you're going to have to wait an extra week. So next week's episode, I've actually already recorded. I have a very, very special guest coming on for an interview, which you guys know I don't usually do. But this interview kind of fell into my lap and it worked out that I could do it for this week. And as you guys may or may not know, I am working at MTV for the summer on the VMAs, and next week is rehearsals and the show is next weekend, which is crazy because the summer flew by. And I don't know what my schedule is going to be like next week because with rehearsals, they can go late and things like that. So I don't really know what to expect. So I thought I would take matters into my own hand. And, you know, since I am the one and only person on the Too Pop to Handle team, I can do whatever I want. And I scheduled this interview and it is coming out next week. So next week's episode isn't going to be topical. Hopefully Taylor Swift doesn't like announce a pregnancy or something and I don't need to do like an emergency episode, but I think we're okay with that. If you want my, you know, reactions to anything happening live, whether it's Sabrina's album, whether it is anything pop culture related, follow me on TikTok. I've been really, really active on there at Andrew Ducatola. My personal, I've been posting so much on there of just like quick in the moment reactions to pop culture things. And of course I share things on the Too Pop to Handle Instagram and TikTok, but my personal TikTok has been more so my outlet for just like quick, pick up the phone, film something fast and post it kind of content. So I will talk all about Sabrina's album when I come back for my, you know, live episode, whatever you want to call it, the week after. So that is what, the 17th or the 18th of September. But yes, next week's episode will be pre-recorded. So I apologize there. but I'm sure I'm going to love Sabrina's album, and I will talk about it on Instagram. We'll talk about it on Substack as well. But like I said, next week's episode is pre-recorded, so I apologize there, but the interview was so good and it was really, really interesting. I don't want to give too much away. I want it to be a surprise, but it was somebody who was on a season of American Idol. That is all that I will say. And the conversation was great. It was really, really fun to chat with them. And really, we talked a lot about new things that they're working on, their time on Idol, what it was like being on the show. And there are contestants that were on the show with them because they were on a very iconic season. And yeah, it was great. So look out for that. I think you guys will love it. And it would really mean a lot if you guys checked it out. I know my typical episodes are more pop culture topical, but you know, you boys got to work. You got to do what you got to do. So yes, we will be pre-recorded next week, but then we will back the week after, excuse me. And I will talk all about the VMAs. And I'm so excited because obviously I'll be there on the ground working, and like I'll have so much kind of not behind the scenes drama or tea, but like I'll be able to give you guys kind of like really what it's like behind the scenes of the VMAs, and then we'll recap the show as well. So that'll be a really, really fun episode. So next week, pre-recorded interview with somebody who was on American Idol. Week after that, VMAs, Sabrina album, and all that jazz that comes along with it. But with all of that being said, let's get into some pop culture moments from this week that were just too pop to handle, because my God, have there been so many. I feel like I've edited and changed and updated this outline so many times in the last 24 hours. And the biggest thing that as soon as this happened, and I know you guys know where this is going, as soon as this happened, it went right to the top of my outline. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. Holy shit. I want to say I can't believe it, but it's more so the shock factor of it like happening now during this album cycle after we just got the podcast episode and the album coming out. But I'm not shocked that they are engaged. Honestly, I thought that they were already engaged and or eloped or something when they went to, what was it, Lake Como last year and like did their whole vacation. I was like, something feels not fishy, but it's just like, you don't just, I guess when you're rich and you're both, you know, have so much money, you do just vacation wherever you want. But during that, I was like, are they engaged? Like, did it happen? Are they getting married? Like, what is going on? I fully was believing that they were already engaged and were keeping it in secret. But alas, Taylor Swift and Killer Trav are engaged. Your favorite English teacher and your favorite gym teacher are tying the knot. And these photos are just stunning. I mean, the backdrop, all the flowers, it is truly like out of a fairy tale book, which is exactly what you would imagine Taylor Swift proposal to look like. And then the little dynamite emoji for TNT, you know, Taylor and Travis, T and T, just so sweet and so cute. And I'm just so, as to make it, you know, to not sound so parasocial, but I am so excited for the two of them. I just feel like we have watched their relationship in such a interesting and unique way for Taylor Swift as we usually see her relationships. I mean, looking at her last relationship with Joe, and I hate to bring him up, but like we didn't see nearly as much of him and her in their 6 years. And now we are seeing so much of her and Travis. And again, this is not to compare the two. These are two very different situations. And I am not one of the people who like harps on that relationship. But when you listen to Lover and you hear her singing like, I would marry you with a paper ring, like she's so in love and just wants to get married. And she's always been, you know, such a hopeless romantic. I mean, she was literally saying on New Heights that like Travis talking about like the friendship bracelet on the podcast was essentially like standing outside of her window with a boombox, which is exactly what she wanted. Like she is such a hopeless romantic, you know, loves the like cheesy big gesture. So like for her to finally be getting it, it's just so exciting. And then even when you think like on Tortured Poets Department, the title track where she makes the comment about you took the ring off my finger and put it on the ring where people usually get married. I forget the lyric. I wrote it down and of course I'm not looking at it. At dinner, you take the ring off my middle finger and put it on the one people put wedding rings on. And that's a close that I've come to my heart exploding. Like I feel like she has always had this want and, you know, desire to have the proposal and have the engagement and do the whole bridal thing. And like, she has a whole album called Speak Now. Like, come on. This is obviously like something she has dreamt about her entire life and has been writing about for so long. So to see it coming to fruition and actually happening, it is just it's so exciting. And my biggest question really is like, when did this happen? Like, was it before they recorded New Heights, after New Heights? I'm assuming that it was after, because I feel like though they are both very media trained, they definitely could have hit it on the podcast, but like, that's a big thing to hide and like to watch. I mean, the episode was 2 hours long and they edited it. Apparently they sent it back and forth like a ton of times to really edit everything out that they didn't want on the episode. So like, I can't imagine recording for 2-3 hours and not having having one slip up and not being able to like fully edit everything out. You know, like there would have been a slip up. There would have been something that alluded to it. So I do think it happened after New Heights. And somebody else pointed out on Twitter that during the New Heights episode, Taylor made a comment that Travis was just hanging out with her dad not too long ago. So people are like, oh, maybe he asked for her hand then, because I do see Travis doing the traditional, like, ask for her hand, make sure, you know, they're all aligned and things like that. I feel like he's a very traditional man in that sense. And also, like, that ring is huge. Like, you don't just like act as if that didn't happen. You know, like, you don't get proposed to with that ring by Travis Kelce and like after especially the year that you have had with him, and then like just take it off and like record a podcast as if nothing happened. You know, like that's just like insane behavior. But I mean, it is Taylor Swift, so like maybe she did. But again, I am going with the idea that it happened after the podcast. It's just it's just crazy. Like, it's such an exciting thing, and I'm not shocked that they're engaged because again, like I've been saying that they are endgame for a while. Like, I have had this feeling in me that they're going to get engaged. Like I said, I thought they were already engaged, honestly. But after she brought him out on stage at the Eras Tour in London, I was like, this is not just a regular man in her life. Like, she is at a point in her life where like she is ready to settle down. She's not just dating for fun anymore. You know, it's not for sport, for lack of a better words, though he is a sports star. She's not dating just because like she wants to and she's bored. Like, she's what, 36, I don't know how old she is. She's in an era where like she wants to be, you know, settling down and being in that next chapter of her life. And I think coming out of a 6-year relationship with all of that going on, and then the situationship in between, like it was time for her to find, you know, her man. She deserved it. She went through enough. Like, she has been through the trials and tribulations in the dating world enough where it's time, you know. And just looking back at like their relationship timeline, even looking at like our podcast timeline, like my timeline, my first episode of this podcast is literally called Full Send on Tavis, because it was the week that photo of them came out when they were like at the game in the suite or wherever, and Taylor was kissing Travis on the cheek. And in that moment I was like, okay, I'm in. Before that, I was definitely a little skeptical because they were new and I didn't know if I was all into it or I loved it. And after that, I was like, no, I'm in. I love it. And like, literally the first episode ever of this podcast was dedicated to them. And like, look at where we are now. They're engaged. And even just thinking of like their relationship timeline. I mean, the New Heights podcast where Travis is literally like, yeah, I wanted to give her my number. And like, everyone was laughing at him. They're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're really going to shoot your shot with Taylor Swift on a podcast and you're going to, you know, make that work. Look at where we are now. Look at what has happened. I mean, between the first game that Taylor went to, like, remember the excitement online when Taylor showed up to the first Chiefs game? It was crazy. Like, it was such an insane moment. And like, I feel like we have just like had so many big moments like that through their relationship. I mean, Taylor going on the field during the Super Bowl. Like I said, Travis coming out on stage during the Eras Tour. Just so many moments. The guy on the Chiefs, like when she did the change in the lyrics. And like, there's been so many big moments in their relationship already. And like, I just feel like this is a win for all of us. And I'm just so excited for them and cannot wait to see Taylor's bridal era and like what her next steps are in terms of like her career after being a bride. I mean, the fact that her 13th album is going to be her wedding album is so Taylor Swift coded. And I don't think she could have planned that if she tried, but like the fact that she will be going into her bridal era in the mix of her 13th album is so, she has lucky girl syndrome like nobody could ever imagine, but so does Travis Kelce. I mean, he manifested this so insanely hard, and look at where we are now. Like, we have really come so incredibly far with these two, and I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon. And just like between the engagement announcement and getting this new album in just a few weeks with like fun, upbeat pop music, I just feel like Taylor is getting this second lease on like just having fun and like not having to hide her life as much. I don't know. It sounds so parasocial and I don't mean for it to be, but like I'm thrilled. And I will say to anybody who sees this announcement and is like, oh, can't wait for the divorce album. Can't wait to see how this turns out. Kick fucking rocks. Like, get fucked disrespectfully. To see somebody get engaged, whether it's Taylor Swift or not, whether it's whoever it is, if you see anybody get engaged and your first thought is like, can't wait for the divorce, and in this instance, can't wait for the divorce album, like come on. Like, let's be happy for 1 second. Did we try to be happy, or were we just waking up and being a miserable cunt from the jump? Like, come on, let's reel it in and like let them have their moment for at least a few months, and like let's not wish divorce on anybody, you know? It's just I was seeing that online. I was seeing it, getting talked about. And I was just like, can we be happy? Like, can anybody just be happy for more than 30 seconds ever in their life? And I cannot. However, I am so thrilled for Taylor and Travis and so happy that they are making this next step. And speaking of next steps for this couple, it kind of segues us perfectly into our next story, but they have yet to make their official red carpet debut. I do not count that fundraiser that they did in like December when Taylor did Shake It Off at that little concert thing. They took photos on that red carpet. Absolutely not. We need more glamour for their red carpet debut. So I do not consider that a red carpet moment for the two of them. But Taylor Swift does love to attend the VMAs, and she has had some major moments at the VMAs, both positive and negative. And the VMAs do happen to be coming up next weekend. So I wonder if she will be showing up with or without her new fiance. I mean, if you think last year at the VMAs when she accepted Collaboration of the Year, she shouted out Travis on stage for the first time ever. That was the first time we heard her talk about him in like an acceptance speech or anything. And she announced Midnights at the VMAs. Like, she's had so many big moments at the VMAs. Do we think that they're showing up together to the VMAs? Because like, I will fall out of my chair if I find out that the two of them are walking the carpet together while I am working the event. It will actually be, it will be unbelievable. But that being said, on the topic of the VMAs, we have some new performers that are so exciting. First and foremost, Mariah Carey has been announced as the Vanguard, and I, for one, am thrilled for this performance. Of course, the Vanguard, they get a 10-minute medley, and they just go through all of their hits. And when you think about Mariah Carey, she has hit after hit after hit. And like, I feel like people forget about how many hits she actually has. She is going to give us such an incredible performance. It's going to be so nostalgic, so like Y2K, such a fun throwback moment. I mean, Obsessed, Touch My Body. Like, there's so many good songs that she can sing, and her new music's been very good too. So I'm excited to see like what she how she volleys the old Mariah stuff and the new Mariah stuff. But I, for one, am thrilled over this Mariah Carey Vanguard announcement. And then just today, actually, we got some new performers. So we have Tate McRae, which I'm so excited for. She's performed at the VMA pre-show before, but never on the main stage. So really exciting to see when an artist goes from the pre-show to the main stage. And I mean, Tate McRae puts on such an incredible show. Like, she is such a performer, and I cannot wait to see her dance her ass off on that stage. We also got an announcement that Doja Cat is performing, which I am so excited about. I'm assuming she's going to do Jealous Type. And I actually saw Doja perform at the VMAs 2 years ago, 2023, and her performance was nuts. Like, it was so good. And I know she just always brings such a different level of performance to these award shows. So I am stoked to see what she has in store for that. We are also getting a performance from Post Malone, which I love Post. So I'm very excited for that. Jelly Roll was also announced as a performer, and I don't really listen to him that much, but people love him, and he is nominated for a few awards this year. So I'm sure the people who love Jelly Roll are very excited for him to be performing at the VMAs this year. And then we also have Conan Gray making his VMA performance debut. Editing Andrew popping in. I misspoke. It is his main stage debut, not his VMA performance debut. Just wanted to make sure I cleared that up. Let's get back to the show, which is exciting. It's always fun to see people having their first VMA performance, because VMA performances it's what they're known for. You know, like, the VMAs are known for iconic performances. So you really do have such an opportunity to do really whatever you want. You know, like, you can really take it to whatever level you want, because we have seen so many crazy things happen on that stage that like sky really is the limit, and it is whatever you want to make of it. So very excited for this, very excited for all these performers for the VMAs. Like I said, they are coming up next weekend, which is crazy. I feel like this summer flew by, but next Sunday, September 7th, they will be on CBS and Paramount Plus. I am so excited to just chat with you guys all about the show after it happens, because even like the few things that I do know that like I can't talk about that are happening at the show, I'm like, oh, it's going to be so exciting. And there's just so many fun things in store for the show, and I just can't wait. And being there for rehearsals and things like that, it's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait to kind of give you guys as much of that like behind the scenes kind of scoop as I can. Very excited for that. But those are our VMA performers. Moving on to our next story is some sad news, which I always hate to bring to the podcast, but you know what? That is just the name of the game. Sometimes things are sad and we have to deal with it. My therapist would be so proud of me for not avoiding sad stories on the podcast, because we need to face our emotions. But Lil Nas X, everything going on with him this week has just been so heartbreaking. So I actually wrote about this this in my newsletter over the weekend. If you're not subscribed, head over to twoupupdatehandles.substack.com and you'll get weekly newsletters every single weekend of some pop culture stuff going on. So I wrote about a little bit there, what was going on. And we didn't have many updates or like the level of updates that we have now. But essentially, he was arrested in LA over the weekend. He was seen walking around LA. At one point, he was fully naked, I believe. And then he was in his underwear for the rest. And he was just like acting crazy, just not acting right. And definitely something was wrong. And I didn't post the videos in my newsletter. Like I didn't use the photos from it because I just think when somebody's in that kind of state of mind, like you don't need to share it more, it just is, it's not something I felt comfortable sharing. There's a link to the video, but I didn't actually put it there. But it was just so sad to see. So he ended up getting arrested, but that was Thursday night into Friday. So he ended up spending the entire weekend in jail because the LA County District Attorney charged him with 4 felonies, including battery with injury on a police officer. And then he wasn't able to see a judge until Monday morning, so yesterday. And he was able to leave jail with $75,000 bail, which is just so much money and is insane. But lots of people obviously talking about this and spreading it. And so many people, I was even getting texts from people and people like asking my opinion on it, saying like, oh my God, do you think it's a PR stunt? It's gotta be PR stunt, right? Like Lil Nas X always does it for the bit. And like, there's doing it for the bit. And then there's like committing a crime, like we've got to like understand that like, you don't just get put in a hospital for a potential overdose and then brought to a jail for an entire weekend and charged on 4 different accounts for battery for a stunt. Like I think we need to, I've done so many episodes where I've talked about how media literacy is so dead. And I'm like, we need to really put our thinking caps on in these moments and realize like, yes, sometimes it is a PR stunt, but like you don't almost come to a near death experience and potentially overdose. I honestly think he was like roofied or took something that like somebody said it was XYZ and it was actually ABC. Like, like someone said it was one thing and it was the other. So I don't know what happened, but regardless, like the videos of him walking down the street, like clearly he was not in the right state of mind. And like, if it was just those videos, I could see it potentially being a PR stunt, him just like putting it on, being an act, like doing his thing. But once it gets taken to like you don't just get like hospitalized for funsies. Like you don't spend a weekend in jail for funsies and like have to go to court and talk to a judge and pay $75,000 for bail. Like, I just think like everybody who was like, oh my God, it's a PR stunt. He's doing it for the bit. He's doing it for an album, I just think we need to like really take a second and touch grass, take a deep breath and like put our thinking caps on and our critical thinking caps specifically, because the amount of people who were just posting about this saying it was a PR stunt and not taking it seriously was concerning, especially when it's like a Black gay man. Like that is a very dangerous situation for a person like him to be in. And I just was like, you gotta reel it in, you guys. We gotta be a little more serious. But seeing the story is just so heartbreaking. He did post an Instagram story a little while ago and he said that, I'm gonna be okay. We're gonna figure it out. Like that shit was scary, but I'm okay. I'm home. Like I'm all right. So I don't know like what is next for Lil Nas X. I believe he was getting ready to announce an album or something. He had released like a mixtape or something. And then, I don't know, it's just crazy to think like Lil Nas X was so huge in like 2021, 2022. And now it's just like, it's this weird moment with all of these stars and these artists who have these major big moments, similar to what I was saying with Tyla last week. Like Tyla had this huge TikTok moment and people just thought she was going to continue to be popular and famous. And if you don't keep up with it, you can't really, you can't just like expect things to work if you don't put the work in. And not that these people aren't putting the work in, but like seeing what they were able to do at one point and now not get to that level. It's not their fault and it's nobody's fault. It's just, the name of the game. But it's just crazy to think like Lil Nas X was breaking records with Old Town Road. And like now he's just like going through it. And it's sad. I can't imagine like the mindset he's in when he was honestly on top of the world. Like he was really killing it for a second. Like, I wrote about this in my newsletter, so I apologize if you read it and this is redundant, but I was saying how when I saw him in 2022 on his solo tour, Long Live Montero tour, it was incredible. The dancing, the production, like his performance, everything was so crisp and so clean and like truly like a mind-blowing performance. Like he put on such a great show. And then less than a year later, I saw him at GovBall in 2023 and it was just such a different person on that stage. So I do think he's been going through it for a little bit and it's kind of just been like a slow burn, unfortunately. And it's sad to see, I loved him as an artist. I still do, of course, like I support whatever he does, but it's just like, it's sad to see, the rise and fall of these people when they kind of get mixed up in the wrong things. Even if you think like with Justin Bieber a few years ago, you just get mixed up in the wrong situations and like shit hits the fan. So hoping that Lil Nas X is, on the road to getting things figured out and being all right and can, not that he's over, he needs a comeback, but like I just hope he can like find it in himself to be like, all right, you know what, we're good. I had a little fuck up. It happens. It is what it is. Maybe he'll have a Lindsay Lohan moment where he has a whole Lohan-assance, a Lil Nas X-assance, and we'll just, like find his footing again and kind of, get back on his feet and get back to the moment of where he was so big with Old Town Road and all of those moments. He really was the talk of the town when he debuted. And I would love to see him have a comeback, especially as a Black gay artist. Like it's just, we have not enough Black gay pop stars in the world. Like we need more of them. So I would love to see him kind of have a renaissance or a resurgence, or like I said, a Lil Nas X-assance. But we will see. And on the topic of Old Town Road, and part of the reason it did go so viral was Billy Ray Cyrus. And Billy Ray Cyrus accidentally leaked a Miley Cyrus song on his birthday this week, which I don't think it was accidental, but it was definitely like a weird post to have gotten, not knowing where this song came from. He posted a reel of himself just like walking around his farm, I'm assuming, listening to a song on his phone. And the caption, he's such a character. He really, like, everything he does, I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this man? But he posted this reel and there's a song playing and it's clearly Miley singing. And he said, for my birthday, Miley gave me the gift of music and wrote me a song called Secrets and got my favorite musician, Fleetwood Mac, to play on it. I love you, Mile. And like, first and foremost, the fact that we're seeing like Miley and Billy have such a, I don't want to call it a healthy relationship, but the fact that they're even like on speaking terms after everything that's been going on in the last few years, like we know that obviously they all got together a few months ago because we talked about it on the podcast and they, did their thing, but like the ups and downs of the Cyrus family really are so crazy. Like that emotional roller coaster that all of them must be on. Like I know they have their therapist on speed dial, and I say that respectfully because I hope that they do. So seeing like Miley going out of her way to record a song with Fleetwood Mac for his birthday, I'm like, was that really the only reason that they did it? But that being said, are we getting a Miley Cyrus and Stevie Nicks or a Miley Cyrus and Fleetwood Mac track? Like, is that something on the horizon? Because clearly it's done and clearly like it's produced, it's finished, it's ready. Are we getting more music from Miley in the next few months or in the future? Was this like an Easter egg that they were planting and, use Billy Ray as a scapegoat? It's like the least that he can do to kind of try to help her career after he has just been all over the place for the last few years. But so like I said, the song is called Secrets and it features Fleetwood Mac. What's also very interesting is that Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac are getting ready to release, or re-release, I should say, their 1973 album Buckingham Nicks that came out and was kind of a commercial failure. Like it kind of flopped and didn't do that well, but they've remastered the vocals and remastered the entire album, and they're releasing it on CD, vinyl, and streaming on September 19th, 2025. So like with Miley having her Something Beautiful era and like she only released the standard edition, like could there be a deluxe album that comes out? And like considering that like Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham are getting ready to release or re-release their album, like this could be a big moment. I don't think this song with Miley would be on their album because like I said, this album already exists and is out, and like they're already releasing or re-releasing the songs from it with these remastered technology on it, whatever you want to call it. So I don't think there would add a song or anything to that album because again, it kind of exists in its own plane and is such like a coveted thing, especially I'm sure for the fandom. And I mean, just like their 60-year-long situationship between Stevie and Lindsay is like a whole nother situation. But I'm curious if like with this whole moment with Miley this year and with, Stevie and Lindsay getting back together or doing their music, whatever it is, like I wonder if there is a Something Beautiful deluxe in the future and this song with Miley and Fleetwood Mac is going to be on it. Because I mean, we know that Miley and Stevie's voices sound unbelievable together, as we heard on Plastic Heart. So I would love to get another track with them and, really see their artistry kind of flow. But I thought this was really interesting that like Billy Ray just like posted about this random song with Miley Cyrus and Fleetwood Mac and like we don't have it, but like he fully has it and it was a birthday gift. I'm like, that's a big birthday gift to give somebody who like you weren't speaking to at this time last year, to our knowledge, like it's very, very interesting relationship there. But I mean, if them, mending their relationship gives us a Miley Cyrus and Fleetwood Mac track, I can't really be mad at it. I'm not going to complain. I'll take what I can get. And there have been some rumors that Miley is going to release a Something Beautiful deluxe. So I guess time will tell. We will see, but I'm very curious. I mean, the song sounded great. Like the vocals on it sounded incredible. I'm really, really curious what is going on with Miss Miley and Fleetwood Mac, and how this, how the wind blows with this collab, and if we're ever going to see the light of day with it. But that being said, moving on to the next moment of the week that we're just too pop to handle, actually does kind of flow perfectly because we are going to talk about Fleetwood Mac again, but we're getting into the main segment of the show, which is the Love Island Season 7 reunion and everything, all the shit show that has come with the Love Island cast this week, because there has been a lot. Like there has just somehow been like shitstorm after shitstorm with this cast this week, and it all led up to the finale of the reunion, whatever you want to call it, on Monday night, last night. So let's get into it. As I said, the Fleetwood Mac of it all and how that ties in. You're like, how the fuck does Fleetwood Mac tie into Love Island Season 7? So on Sunday, it appears that Pepe and Iris, who ended up being in the finale together, have unfollowed each other, and Iris deleted all photos with Pepe on her Instagram. She then posted an Instagram story of the beach with the blue heart and had the song Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac that is famously about Stevie and Lindsay's breakup on the story. There's rumors swirling that he cheated on her. We don't really know exactly. And again, they are just rumors, but who knows? I mean, for her to delete all the photos of the two of them and for this to happen the day before the reunion, it's like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And I mean, Iris and Pepe were like the underdogs of the season. Like they were the ones that like ended up together. It was like, it wasn't obvious, but it was so obvious that they should be together. And then they got together. They ended up making it to the finale over Shelly and Ace, which was so insane. And so like to see them already potentially breaking up, it's sad because they had so many people rooting for them behind them. And I'm like, if Pepe cheated on Iris, anybody who cheats on anybody is a dog, but like he was the one who was like fully so excited for them to be together. And like they were so geeked up together. And like, it's just, men are such fucking dogs. I will say I'm obsessed. TJ decided to chime in because, of course, TJ and Iris were together prior to Pepe, and he posted like a trend on TikTok where it's like you like make like a silly face at one point and like no caption, no comments, no hashtag, nothing. He just posted that the day that all this came out, and I was like, you know what? Hell yeah, get into the drama because he did get played dirty on that show. And like for now, a month later, for them to break up, especially considering that when they all got out of the villa, Iris and TJ met up and had a conversation to just like close up any loose ends. And then Pepe and Hannah met up to close up any loose ends there. So Iris and Pepe could just like go on and be the two of them. Like you guys went out of your way to speak to, not your exes, of course, but like, the people you were coupled up with in the villa, just be like, hey, I'm sorry this happened, but like we are going to pursue. Like you made it a point to speak to these people a month ago, less than a month ago when you got out of the villa. And now apparently you're being cheated on and unfollowing and posting, breakup songs on your story. It sucks. But I will say TJ posting that TikTok, I was fucking cracking up. And then, as if that wasn't enough, Monday morning, the day of the reunion, Amaya and Bryan unfollow each other. And this one we have much less information on. We literally have no other information other than the fact that they unfollowed each other. But I'm like, did we just have the winners of Love Island unfollow each other a month after the season ended? And like I genuinely was so obsessed with them, as was all of America, because we voted for them to win Love Island. And like, if they have broken up, like, I don't know, you don't just unfollow your boyfriend. Like if I unfollowed Thomas and he unfollowed me and we were just like, oh, just being funny, doing like a silly little thing. Haha. Like you don't do that. You don't unfollow your boyfriend or your partner if there's not something going on. So I'm like, what the fuck happened? And for it to happen on the day of the reunion, I wonder if there was like some type of like clause where like, if you guys broke up, nothing can happen until the reunion. So like they could only do it the day of. Like the timing of them unfollowing each other the morning of the reunion is very specific. I feel like all that we've really seen so far is that Amaya has posted a video of like her camera, so it looks like she's like vlogging or making a YouTube video or something. So I guess we will find out eventually. We'll find out soon. I don't know, but it's very weird. And like watching the reunion last night, knowing that Iris and Pepe are no longer together and assuming that Amaya and Bryan are no longer together, it was so weird because they filmed this 2 weeks ago. So I was like, I feel like we need a reunion for the reunion because so much shit has now gone down since. And like, you guys are on this show talking happy-go-lucky. I mean, Amaya and Bryan are talking about how they're so great and they're like doing all these things and da-da-da. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? It's been 2 weeks. And like, you just never know. You never know what's going on. But that being said, getting into the Love Island reunion, what a fucking reunion this was. I feel like we learned a lot and also nothing at the same time. Like, I don't think we learned any groundbreaking information. I just think we learned a lot about the people individually. Like, I don't think there was anything, like none of the footage that they showed, the unedited things, the, revealing the votes, none of that was like groundbreaking information. It was kind of things that we could have pieced together ourselves, and like even like showing the boys and the girls chatting about who they're going to vote out. We know who they voted out. So like it doesn't matter how they got there. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like, we know the end result. So like how they discussed who they were sending home, like, doesn't really change what happened because we know what happened. But it was interesting watching the girls like deliberate who they were sending home. Same with the boys. And like the producers posting the voting results because they wanted to make sure they like covered their ass from all the people saying production was like pulling strings to get people to stay. Like, it is what it is. And like, it's neither here nor there. The show is over. The people have the money, I'm assuming. And like, now they're broken up, so it doesn't really fucking matter. But I feel like we just learned a lot about each of the cast members individually. And the one that we learned the most about was fucking Huda. And I have so much to say about Huda. And if you're a Huda fan, I apologize, but I'm about to read her for filth because I have no time for this diva anymore. And I say diva as a derogatory term just for this one time only because I don't want to call her something else that has gotten me in trouble before in the past. That being said, my problem with Huda is that she doesn't see anything wrong with her actions and the things that she does. And she sees what's wrong with it, but she thinks that like admitting what she did and admitting what was wrong is enough. And she's like, well, I admitted it was wrong, but it seems like there's no want or willing to change. And like, she would do it again. And like, so she's sitting there watching this entire compilation of them all calling her Hurricane Huda and like her crash outs and her meltdowns and like everything that she did in the villa that was so manipulative and like just like not how you act as a human being. And she's smiling, like she has a full smile ear to ear, taking up her entire face, cheesing and beaming over the fact that like she caused all of this ruckus in the villa. Yeah, well, I was honest and I owned up to it and I talked about it. It's like, yeah, but like, you're not a different person. And like her saying that I've done a lot of self-reflection and, I'm really working on who I am. Like, and Andy clocking it and being like, you've been out of the villa for a month. Like, what self-reflection have you done? Because realistically, all Huda has done is done meet and greets, done podcasts, done press, and like made TikToks. Like, there's no time for her to do self-reflecting because I don't even think she's seen her daughter in the last month. And like, I don't like to bring people's kids into it, but like Huda has been everywhere but her house, so it seems. She's at this meet and greet, she's on this podcast, she's doing this press tour, she's on this red carpet with the new boyfriend that she can't talk about because of her contract with Netflix, which, let's get into that. If you are going to do a red carpet appearance with another reality star, like with this guy from Too Hot to Handle, and then go on your reunion to the show that made you the name that you are, like you had a following before, sure, but like you were not who you are now, like it's not, it's apples to oranges comparing your platforms. To walk a red carpet with a Netflix star and then go on your reunion and be like, oh, I can't talk about it. Netflix told me I can't. Like, you are so annoying. Like, maybe you can't talk about the, what you're doing with him and maybe they have another show or a contract with like, God, if anybody at Netflix is listening and you can stop any project that is starring Huda at Netflix, please pull the plug because I promise you that is the last person that we need on our screens again. Like, we do not need another unstable person on our televisions. I don't care how good the ratings would be. Let's pull the plug on that now because we do not need it. But that being said, to sit there with like a smug look on your face and be like, yeah, I can't talk about it because Netflix told me I can't. Like, get fucked. Seriously, like you are just so... Oh, she just drives me up the fucking wall. And that's not even the beginning of it. Then Chris and her, she's like, oh, how are you guys feeling? Ariana asked. And she's like, I'm fine with Chris. And Chris is like, no, this is weird. We haven't spoken until 3 days ago. You had a month to talk to me and you waited until 3 days before the reunion to try to contact me to talk about it. Like, you clearly were trying to fabricate something and like make a moment for the reunion to like talk to me right before and like get me either riled up or try to like cushion me or whatever it is. And like, the fact that Chris called her on every bluff that he could on this reunion, I was so proud of the way that he handled it, because he was like, no, you're acting fucking weird. You're moving really shady and I'm not with it. Like, we're not going to be friends. We're not going to rekindle anything. Like, you are fully moving in a way that I don't like. You're being like a snake and I'm not with it. And I was so happy that he called her out on all of her bluffs and like fully just like held her accountable for what it was. Granted, I don't think she knows how anybody holds her accountable. Like, I think it truly goes in one ear and out the other and like flies away with her fucking lashes. Like, she just does not know how to take accountability or how to be a respectful human being to anybody but herself. It's just so insane. Moving into the whole Shelly and Chris conversation, because that was such a big moment of the reunion. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say that Huda will own up to what she did and be like, yes, I did that. I understand what I did was wrong, but she doesn't actually understand why it was wrong. She just thinks that admitting what she did is enough. And she's like, yeah, well, I cleared my name because I admitted to doing it, but she's not actually following up with any action that is clearing her name or making it okay for what she did. Yes, Huda pulled Shelly aside and said, hey, I'm going to bring Chris back to the villa so both of us can explore our connection with him. And Shelly, yes, she agreed, and we have it on camera, sure. However, you can tell that Shelly in that moment is like, yeah, you can do it, but like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, Shelly wasn't 100% with it, but like, Huda was so dead set on her plan already to use Chris as a chess piece and a pawn in her game just to get more screen time, because Huda knew if she didn't go back to the villa with somebody after Casa Amor, her time in the villa was up and she would be going home. Now, yes, she's playing a game. Yes, this is literally a reality game show. I understand that. But seeing the way that Huda like crashed out about Jeremiah a week before Casa Amor, was it? Like, whenever the fuck that was. And then to just like move and now like being like, oh, I'm going to bring this guy back so I can get more screen. Like, I know she didn't say she was doing it to get more screen time, but we know Huda went on this show not to find love. She went on the show to get a bigger following and become a bigger influencer than she already was. Like, there was no interest in Huda. Huda had no interest in finding love. She wanted to find a influencer career and a platform and just grow what she already built, which is fair. Like, you do know that's going to happen with Love Island, but like, it takes away the plot. And that's the big problem on this season. Like, there were so many influencer-esque people, like they had such big followings already, which is fine, but it does take away from like the real rawness of the show, where they were just putting like regular people into the villa and like letting it rock and like seeing what happened. And like, by chance after the show, you do usually get a following, and like, especially with PPG last season, like, you get crazy opportunities. So yeah, it does open doors for you, but like, if you're only going on the show, and I've said this so many times, but if you're only going on the show to become an influencer, you're in it for the wrong reasons. And just like watching Huda sit there and like try to defend her actions by being like, well, Shelly, I told you why I was bringing Chris back. It's like, yes, you told Shelly, but you were still using Chris as a pawn in your chess game to get more screen time, which just is like, Chris doesn't deserve that. Chris does not deserve to be wrapped up in Hurricane Huda and like fucking caught in the eye of this storm because you want to be selfish and bring him back to the villa. Like, it drives me crazy. And like, the way that she sits there and smiles the entire time while they're just debriefing all of this, and like, she really sees no problem with her actions. Similar when she apologizes to Grayson, I don't believe a word that comes out of her mouth. Like, I really don't think any of her apologies are genuine. I think they're all bullshit, and I think she's just trying to be likable and trying to be like, I apologize, I made up for it. No. You're still I cannot. And I promise we're almost done talking about Huda, but like, she really ruffled my feathers on this reunion. And the biggest thing, I would say, the two biggest things were the conversation between her, Olandria, and Shelly with the racism and the heart rate challenge. So we're going to talk about the whole Huda-Olandria situation. So the fact that Olandria and Shelly both asked Huda, hey, we are getting death threats. Like, we are getting crazy hate online from your fans because of the edits that we're getting online. Could you just post something on your Instagram and say, hey, this isn't the case. We're on a TV show. You know, it's edited a different way, because they were close, especially Huda and Olandria were very close in the villa. And Huda was like, yeah, I'll post it. Don't worry about it. No sweat. Now, sure, you get out of the villa, you know, especially Huda. She has a daughter. She has a lot going on. Maybe the first thing on her mind wasn't like, let me check to see like if everything's good. Like, is everyone all right? Like, whatever. If you need your friends to tell you to stand up for them when they are getting death threats, like Olandria said. And this like hurts me to say, like, I actually don't even want to say it, but like for Olandria to sit there and be like, they were photoshopping my face on George Floyd and sending it to me. And for Huda to know that and still not post something or not get on her platform of like 6 million people and be like, guys, please stop, is so insane. And then for her to be like, well, I did say it. I went in the press and I said it. You will, no, you cannot sit here and try to say like I was standing up for my friend when I did a press interview, because sure, maybe people will read that, but that is not the way that you genuinely approach a situation like this, especially when it has race involved, especially in today's political climate. If your Black friends are being targeted and being sent hate and death threats and all of these evil things being said about them online that are spawning from your fans, and you don't prioritize sticking up for them and saying, please stop, this is not okay. I'm pretty sure Leah had to do this last season, and I would put money on the fact that Janae and Serena did not ask her to do this. But I remember, unfortunately, this happened last season too, because people are disgusting and racist. And Leah posted something. I'm like 95% sure that happened. For them to ask her to do it and then for her to forget, it's just like, you clearly don't care about these people the way that they thought that you did and the way that you have made them feel like you have. And like I said, especially in today's climate, especially the things that Olandria was getting sent, and both of them, like really, like it is just so insane. And for her to be like, well, I talked about it here and I talked about it on the podcast, that's not, no, you can't use those press opportunities as your backbone of a friendship, because then it looks like you're only using your friendships for publicity and you're only using those opportunities to make yourself look better. If you're not doing it out of the genuine goodness of your heart and you were just doing it because you are waiting for like the perfect press moment, similar to calling Chris 3 days before the reunion and then bringing it up on the reunion. Like, no, you had a whole month to talk to him and you chose to wait until 3 days before the reunion because you knew you were about to be on camera. It is just all so fabricated and seems so calculated. And I just don't get how people can still sit here and be like, I love Huda, she's the best. It is just... it's mind-blowing to me. It really is. And then the final thing, I'm pretty sure the final thing, she might come up again in conversation later, but the final point that I have about Huda is the heart rate challenge. I feel like the big thing everybody wanted to see was the unedited heart rate challenge, because it was clear that they edited something out of it and it made it look like everybody was so mad at Huda and what she did on camera wasn't that bad. But like, it was so clear that they edited things out. And like the way that Shelly and everybody was so upset with her after that, it was clear that the producers were producing and, trying to get Huda to look not, like the bad guy or whatever. And when they showed the final unedited version of the heart rate challenge, if anybody wants to sit here and be like, oh, it was a challenge, it was silly, it was fun, they were consensual, the shit that she was doing to Ace, she fully licked his dick, fully was twerking in his face, basically in a G-string. And like, yes, you guys have consent. Yes, it's all consensual and it is fair game, sure. But when you are in, like they said, Nick said it best, when you are in week 5 and you are doing this to Ace and Shelly, who has been an item, maybe not coupled up, but they have been an item back and forth since week 1, you know what you were doing and you are clearly targeting them to try to get a rise out of somebody, because you know damn well if it was the first day in the villa and somebody did this to Jeremiah, she would have acted 10 times crazier than Shelly acted. And Shelly didn't even act crazy. She just tried to, stand up for herself and be like, hey, that wasn't cool. I don't like the way that you acted. And if they did that to Jeremiah when Huda and him were together in the 4 days that they knew each other and she was already obsessed with him, she would have set the villa on fire. And I just cannot believe that there are still people out here defending Huda and acting like she didn't do anything wrong in the situation because it was all fun and games. It's like, fun and games is only fun and games to a certain point, and you can always cross a line, and she didn't cross the line. She sprinted past it. She went 3 miles past it, and she just like... I cannot believe the way that people are still fighting tooth and nail for this girl. That being said, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the other Islanders because they are not as, awful as Ms. Huda is. Olandria, who I just love. I love the way that she was talking about how her haters are her second fan base. She unfortunately got the brunt of the hate. I would say between her and Shelly the most for sure. And she was saying how like, when I see people sending me hate, I'm like, you guys love me more than my haters do. And I'm so happy that she has that mindset. And I think her and Shelly were the way that they spoke on this reunion really showed their character and showed that they have a really great head on their shoulders because they knew what they wanted to say. They were very direct. They were very confident in what they said. And even in the moments where Olandria got choked up or got upset, it was such a moment of not weakness at all. That's not what I'm saying. A moment of like, you could tell that she was like, had like almost a breaking point because she was like, I am so strong. And, I keep it together all the time. So to see her kind of have those moments, it was like, it almost like added a layer to what she was saying because it was like, wow, like you see this girl who's so confident and strong, talking so, well-spoken and put together the rest of the reunion. When she has these moments, it's like, holy shit, like she does have a lot that she carries on her. Taylor being one of the things, Taylor being like, you still my dog though. No, the fuck she's not. Like, get out of here with that. You know where you and Olandria stand, and she is not your dog. She's not your friend. She's not your girl. She's not your sister. No. You picked Clark. You made it clear. And like, yeah, that drama is over. Obviously, she is happy with Nick. You were happy with Clark. It is fine. I do think that like Clark and Olandria are set. Like, I don't think there's any beef or anything like that, just from what I can tell. But like, the fact that Taylor wants to sit there and be like, yeah, you're still my dog, don't you worry. Like, no, she's not. You fully dogged her on the episode, on the season, and now you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. Country boy, absolutely not. Get up on that horse, on that saddle, and ride the fuck away because we are not doing that. What else we're not doing is the whole Coco situation where she gets so much to say about Olandria and then wanted to be like, no, I love Olandria. I love no. You can't sit here and say she was standoffish and she was this and she was that. Anybody would have been standoffish in that situation. The way that Olandria said, she was like, I just came into the villa after I got dumped and I'm seeing my man that's been my man since day one, right? Her and Clark were together since day one, I'm pretty sure. If not day one, day two, sue me. But like, her and Clark were together. She was clearly thinking they were going to make it to the end of the season together. For her to get dumped from the island, then saved, back recoupled with her man's best friend, put back into the villa without all of her girlfriends and get thrown into the mix with all these new girls, everybody would be standoffish. And I don't see Olandria being like nasty or rude about it, but like, yeah, I would be quiet too. And I wouldn't want to be best friends with the people who are now on my man's new girl's side. Right? My man's new girl. Yes, that makes sense. I just like, I just, it's insane the way that people switch up. But I love that, again, Olandria stood so strong on her feet and was so confident in what she was saying. And Coco fully just got caught up in like everything. Like they were like, no, like you can't sit here and say you didn't say that because you did. And like, you can't backtrack now. You can apologize. That's fine. But like, you can't take back what you said. And you were clearly saw the villain edit that Olandria and Shelly were getting. And you didn't try to help. You didn't try to make it better. You just tried to add fuel to the fire because you wanted that like rise out of everybody, same with Vanna. Vanna did it to Shelly, I believe it was. And like that, you saw people were shitting on them. So you started joining the train so you could kind of jump on that hate train and get the rise and the hype from their haters. And now the people like them when they're out of the villa, or you're seeing, how much love that they're getting. Now you want to switch it up? Absolutely not. No. It's wild to see the way some of these people switched up and like seeing, it's clear that some people went into this just wanting like a following or getting eyes on them or getting, some type of name. And like, they are just so willing to just like not have a backbone and like fully just like bend to whatever the public is saying. It is wild. What else do we have? Oh, Shelly and Ace. Now, of course, the big question with Shelly and Ace the entire season was their history and if they really knew each other that long and like what their past was, if they were dating. There were some weeks where I was kind of like, I kind of think Shelly and Ace knew each other more than they're saying outside the villa. And then there were some moments where they would like go on a date or like their family would be there. And like, I was like, okay, maybe they don't know each other. Like maybe, I don't know. I was kind of indifferent the entire season back and forth, but they did bring it up. And I don't think it was as serious as everybody else thought it was. Like, I think like Ace said, like, yeah, I was quick to drop a fire emoji and eye emoji. Like that's just who I am. And like, that's kind of all it ever went to. I did feel really bad that like, they kept bringing up the whole idea of like Shelly being the mean girl and Ace being the villain of this season. And like, it was kind of like the boys even like at one point, like Charlie was even like, I never called you the ringleader. Was it Charlie or Zach? Who was it? Somebody like when Ace was being like, yeah, you said I was the ringleader and then you had so much to say about me online. And like Shelly had the same situation, like I said, with Vanna and even with Huda and like all these people like painting these pictures of these people outside of the villa as these like villains or mean girls. And it's like, clearly the production is what was making these narratives. And I definitely saw some of the moments where, you know, people, I thought it was a little harsh the way that somebody was on somebody and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like I was never thinking that like Shelly was the mean girl in the villa, because she wasn't. Like there was never any point in the season where she seemed like the bully of the show or the mean girl. And it was ever, that was just like not, that was just like never a narrative that made sense to me. So I did feel bad that it kind of kept getting brought up and they did kind of have to relive that trauma. But I do think it was probably very therapeutic for them to like get that off their chest and just like say it and like throw it all out there, get it done, and like keep the ball rolling. I also thought the whole conversation between Austin, Ace, and Jeremiah, where like they were all, Ace was kind of just like confronting them on what was going on. And I mean, first and foremost, Austin is just such an airhead. Like he is just so, there's nothing going on in that man's brain except like a monkey with symbols. Like he fully has no thoughts inside of that skull. And just like the way that like Ace was trying to come to them, so I feel like he was doing it very like man to man, being like, hey, this is what you said, this is how you acted, and like what was the deal with that? And they were like, no, like this is the you know, like just trying to like find ways to kind of like give him the runaround. I was proud of Ace for standing on business the way that he did. Even like when he brought up the height thing to Amaya on Call Her Daddy, and like they brought that up, and Amaya did have a good, she was like, hey, I talked to Alex and I said, hey, can we take that down? Like I didn't want that. Like I think that like Ace was really good at coming into it, similar to Shelly and Olandria, very confident and knew what he wanted to accomplish in this reunion. And he didn't like back down from anything, which is the same thing with Olandria and Shelly. I think they really came into this really, really strong and just knew what they wanted out of the reunion. And on the flip side of that, people who did the exact opposite of that, Austin, our airhead of the season, the way that him and Jaden, like Jaden was just being like, you did this. I'm not asking if you did it. This is what you did. I know you did it because I was there. You went on the date. We saw the text. Andrina was there. Like, this is what happened. And he wouldn't even own up to that. Like, he wasn't even man enough to own up to his wrongdoings. And he still wanted to just like be like, no, like I wanted to do this. I was going to do this. It's like, shoulda, coulda, woulda, dude. Like, you wanted to do all of these things, but you didn't. And you weren't following up the way that you wanted to. Like Jaden said, like, you said you wanted to take me on a date and you want to do all these things. Like, well, I still want to do that. And she's like, the ship has sailed. Like, we left the villa as a couple, or not dating, you know, like coupled up Love Island terms. And like, all she wanted was communication, and he couldn't even do that. Like, I feel like the issue with this show, especially with the men, like they get all of this attention after the show and they don't know how to control themselves. Similar to what I'm assuming happened with Pepe. Like, Pepe probably got so many people in his DMs or wherever it may be, or just like out and about at a club, similar to the whole Bryan thing, which we'll get into in a second. But like, just like seeing the way that like they get a little bit of attention and they suddenly don't know how to act. It's just so telling to their true intentions and what they really went on the show to do. That being said, the whole Bryan situation where Bryan was like pouring shots into girls' mouths like 2 days after the season wrapped or whatever. Amaya and Bryan, clearly they said like they talked about it, they were good, and like Amaya wasn't like insecure about it, she felt fine, she's good, whatever. But now seeing that they've unfollowed each other, and even seeing that Chris was like, I didn't see anything, like he was like fully like taking his back, like was he hiding something? I don't know, obviously, but like just looking back now and seeing that like where Amaya and Bryan stand today, unfollowing each other, and like that happened fresh out of the villa, I'm like, what has been going on with these people? Like, especially Bryan and Amaya, like they won the entire season, and like I was rooting for them so incredibly hard, and now look at where we are. Like, it's so sad, and I hate that that is like how things are ending for this season of Love Island, because like even though Love Island Beyond the Villa, like that cast, or like the season 6 cast, like we definitely have had some couples fall apart. I mean, Kenny and Janae being the biggest one, but like Serena and Cordell are still together, Leah and Miguel are together, and like, you know, they're still doing their things and like whatever. But I just feel like this cast doesn't have that. it doesn't have that like glue that last season had, because they tried to force it. They really tried to like force these relationships and these friendships on this cast almost. And like, it doesn't work that way. Like, they just got so lucky with the last season of Love Island being so successful and connected. And this season was successful viewership wise or whatever. But I just think the longevity of this cast and of these people, like, I don't think they're going to be really, you know, being names for the next few years the way that I think the last season's cast will be. I think Amaya will probably get a following. Olandria, Nick, Shelly, and Ace will definitely always have a core fan base. I do unfortunately think that Huda will always have people behind her because they're just as crazy as she is. But I don't think the whole cast is really going to take off the way that I think last season's is. But I guess time will tell. I don't know. Final thoughts on this reunion. I felt really bad for Hannah. Like, I feel like Hannah really did go into this show with the best intentions and just like really got the shitty end of the stick. And like, seeing her rehash all of that, she even said, she was like, I went home and I just like blocked all of it out. I fully was like, I am not going to think about this. I want to shut it out. I want to do my own thing. And then for her to have to like rewatch all of it and like dig up all of this trauma. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just like, well, that's got to be so much for her to have to sit through. And, you know, especially when you're being filmed again, it's just like a lot to adapt to. So I felt really, really bad for her. I thought I would love to see Hannah have a moment. Like, I would love to see Hannah. She's already been like posting a lot on TikTok and, you know, having her moment there. But I hope she has a longevity, because I do think she is a really sweet girl and really does have great intentions for everything that she does, almost to a fault sometimes. Like, I do think she almost like is so kind and sweet sometimes that it like might end up biting her. But I mean, again, that's kind of parasocial to me. So I don't know, but she had a rough time last night at the reunion, and I did feel bad, but I do think she has a lot of love and support behind her. So I think she's good in that sense. I thought Charlie was honestly, for the most part, making some really solid points. Like, when he was talking about like his elimination and like all the recouplings and things like that, like he was like, well, this person should have went home because XYZ. And I just thought he was really bringing some solid points to the reunion. Like, I think there were some moments where I was like, all right, dude, chill out. Like, you're just talking at your ass. But he did take some solid points throughout the reunion. Like I said, like with the recouplings and people going home, I think he had a really good case that he was bringing to the table. And I honestly forgot about Charlie, to be completely honest. So seeing him back on my screen, I was like, oh, I'm happy. I'm glad you're here. I liked him enough on the show. So I'm glad that you're back, you know, for this reunion, and you're actually bringing something to the table. Because a lot of these men, like Elan and Zach, oh my God, Zach, the one who was on Zoom, I forget. I know there's Zach C, and then the other Zach, I don't know, Zach C and Zach K. Zach K, I believe. Him and Brian's little moment, I was like, oh my God. I was kind of glad that he wasn't there in person, because I feel like the two of them have like this like cockiness to them, where I feel like not that it would have gotten physical or like a fight, but I feel like it would have escalated a lot faster if Brian and Zach were in the room when they were talking about like Zach talking about Brian, saying he's only in it for the money, and them kind of like, you know, really buckling down on Zach, and if he was there just for the money or just for Amaya and whatever, like that whole thing. Like, I think that would have got a lot more heated if it was in person. And I don't know if it would have made good TV or if it would have been like really cringy and uncomfortable to watch, which could have gone either way. And I don't know which would have been better, you know, like for the viewership, probably would have been better, but for the actual like camaraderie that would have happened after, I'm like, you know what, it probably was best that he was on Zoom and they kind of had that conversation via FaceTime, because I don't know where that would have went otherwise. Other than that, I thought the reunion was fine. Like I said, we didn't learn that much about the show or anything groundbreaking about the cast that we didn't know before. I just think it really opened our eyes to this cast and who they are as people, and like kind of where their trust and loyalty lies, if that makes sense. And I'm really happy to see that like at least Nick Olandria is, you know, having their moment. Like, you guys know, I was fully on team Amaya and Bryan. Like, I was rooting for them. I would have the moments where I was like, I think Nick and Olandria are too produced and this, that, and the third. And you know what? They're doing their big one, and I will give their fans, I'll give you guys your 10s, because they really are coming out on top. Same with Shelly and Ace. I will stand on the fact that like Shelly and Ace should have made it to the finale, either over Chris and Huda or Iris and Pepe. And that is not just because I don't like Huda or because now that Iris and Pepe are broken up, like I have said that I think Shelly and Ace should have been in the finale. I don't know that they would have won necessarily, but clearly they had a stronger connection than the other two in the top 4, because now look at who's still together, Nick Olandria and Shelly and Ace. So You know what, America? We got it wrong, so it appears. But you know what? You can't win it every time, and that's just life. But with all of that being said, we are kissing this season of Love Island goodbye, and we're about to kiss our season of Love Island Beyond the Villa goodbye, because now we are almost on the season finale already, which I'm like, what the fuck? It finally is getting so good these last 2 episodes, and now this week is the finale. I'm so upset. But that being said, we are transferring into our TV recap and talking about Love Island Beyond the Villa. I feel like these last 2 episodes, also, I totally didn't realize I was an episode behind last week, and like I was not caught up, but I finally caught up. I watched both episodes, 6 and 7 it was. They were great. Oh my God, they were such good episodes. Like, this is the reality TV that I want. And I know we did get Kayla and Liv fighting, but it felt like a true fight. It wasn't over like a camera or unfollowing or whatever, you know, stupid shit like that. Like, they were really getting into it. And like, of course, it was like deep personal shit. They were talking about like unfortunately, Kayla's grandma did pass away, and like that is what ignited the argument, or like brought the fire to the argument. But like, it was finally like an actual conversation that needed to be had, and not like, you bought a Canon G7X without me. I definitely didn't think that they would go that far in front of everybody. Like, I thought it would have been a private fight, but the fact that it happened like at Cordell's birthday dinner, it was giving like Real Housewives drama. And I, as much as I hate watching them fight like that and like hate making a scene, it was good TV. Like, it was good TV. I'm sorry, but it was like, yeah, they're fighting, and like, you know, it's fueled by somebody passing away and Liv taking Aaron's side, which is like not cool at all. She should not have stood up for Aaron for a second, but like, it was really good TV. I hate to say it. And then to watch them like make up minutes after, I was like, what is happening? But they're like sisters, you know, in that sense where like they can have that big of a blowout fight. Like, I think about me and my brother, like we would have these crazy fights when we were younger and like hate each other and scream at each other. And like by the end of the night, we were playing video games together. They do have a very sisterly bond. And I just think the two of them are in a current phase of their life, or when they were filming, at least I don't know where they stand now, but like when they were filming, I think they were just in like a butting head situation and didn't know how to communicate properly to each other. I don't know where they stand now or like what they're up to. But regardless, like I think in this situation, like it was needed for them to have this blow up fight. Did it need to happen at Cordell's birthday dinner? No, but like I said, it made good TV. So like, I guess it is what it is. I will say, I think I'm kind of over Liv. I think she just has done too many things that like, I thought she was such a girl's girl last summer. Like she was so with it with the girls and had their back and was wiping their tears and was screaming at Aaron at the reunion. And now for her to like switch up and kind of like take Aaron's side on things, I was like, I don't love that. Like, I don't love that you won us all over last summer because you were the girl of the whole house. Like, Liv did not have a single true connection, call it how you want. Like, she did not have a true love connection in that villa. As much as she tried, like, it just didn't happen. But she was a ride or die for every last girl in that villa. And now seeing it this summer where she's like hanging out with the guys more and like not having Kayla's back and things like that, it just is a little icky to me. I don't know. Of course, this is just like a television show, so I don't know exactly how she stands or what she, you know, blah, 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 whatever stands for, but it definitely rubbed me the wrong way. The other thing that really rubbed me the wrong way, and not in a bad way, and like in a way that like they did something, but it just made me feel so bad watching Janae, Leah, and Serena having that little wine day, like the girls' day at the Malibu winery, whatever. And Serena and Leah both being like, yeah, if they proposed to us right now, we would say yes. And Janae clearly being like, I don't think I would. Like, I don't think I'm in that situation, which of course every relationship is different. But when you meet your partner on a TV show the same way that your best friends did, and like they went on such a specific journey together, to see the two of them say like, yeah, we would say yes right now, and Janae know that that wasn't the case. Like, it definitely was written in the stars that like something was going to go wrong, but like, it hurt me so bad for Janae. And now knowing what we know, but Janae actually made her first statement with People. I haven't read it yet or listened to it. I think it was a video. I mean, I don't know what she can say that's going to like make me love her more and hate Kenny more, because I already hate the man so much. Oh my God, on the one episode, he was like, I just hate when people lie. I hate when people are phony. Da, da, da. I was like, you're literally a pot calling the kettle black. Like, what are you talking about? But that scene with the three of them, it was very sad because you could see it in Janae's face that she was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize you guys were like ready for marriage like that. Even at coffee with Ariana or lunch, whatever, when like they were all talking about it, like I was like, damn, that must suck to be Janae in that situation, because like, you know, it just isn't, it's not working out the way that you want. What else? Oh, Megan Thee Stallion. Hello. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Megan Thee Stallion. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. And like seeing her on Love Island, she is really in her Love Island bag between the episode on season 7, now Beyond the Villa. Like she is really the hot girl Summerland at Walmart and Love Island are like, they must have a crazy contract because they are pushing this line like no other. And you know what? Hell yeah, get your bag, Meg. I love to see it. And I loved seeing her with everybody, seeing her on the cast. The way that she saw Connor was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like you or not. Like it was so funny. And you can tell that Megan is like a real genuine fan of Love Island. Like even when she was in the villa over the summer in Fiji with the season 7 cast, like she was fully like, when you said this, Olandria, and Shelly, when you said that, like she was fully up to date on what was going on. And you can just tell that she loves it so much that just it makes it so much better, because you could get anybody on Love Island. You know, you could bring anybody in and like make them a special guest, but when the person actually watches the show and actually loves it, it just adds that extra layer. So I loved that. I love seeing them all go to Miami, and I'm curious to see like what else they get up to while they are in Miami. And then the final thing, seeing Nicole and Kendall having that conversation. I thought Nicole and Kendall were going to be the couple that made it the furthest after the villa. I thought that they were endgame. You can go back to all of my recaps of Love Island last year, and I say, I loved Nicole and Kendall together so much. Now, of course, I take that back because of what Nicole did to Kendall was not right. But seeing the two of them have this conversation and like fully hash everything out, it seemed genuinely like, you know, you see sometimes on these reality shows, they have these conversations and like it's ingenuine and like they're just doing it for the cameras. I do really think that Nicole and Kendall's conversation was healing for both of them and really tied up a lot of loose strings. I thought it was a really good conversation and they really covered all of the bases and were able to really hash out what went down and like right their wrongs almost. And like Nicole apologizing to him was such a huge thing that he wanted, and it happened, it seemed so effortlessly, you know, like it seemed like he didn't have to like beg for the apology. It just seemed like a very mature and much needed conversation after such a harsh ending that they had, and such like you know, like Nicole burned a lot of bridges with that. Like Nicole definitely was in the wrong for that, and the way that she brought it up at the reunion and the way that she acted like was not right. But you know, we're human beings. You forgive, you forget, you can move on. Do I think Nicole and Kendall will ever get back together? Absolutely not. Do I think that this conversation is going to now make Nicole besties with the rest of the cast and hanging out with them all the time? Absolutely not. But I do think this just like eases it, that like if there was a Love Island season 6 party, you know, if they all wanted to get together and do something and Nicole wanted to go, I don't think it would be awkward. Now, I think she could show up and like she could hang out with like Serena and Leah, because they seem to be fine, and like talk to them and be fine, and like they can be in the same room and be cordial. And yeah, just seeing them like chit chat, I was like, damn, I really love the two of them together. And you could tell that they really did enjoy each other's company, but like you can't really take back the way that Nicole handled what happened with Kendall, but also like Kendall was in the wrong too. You know, like Kendall lied to her about things. He was going through it and things like that, but like they were both wrong. They both, you know, had their wrongdoings, and I'm not pointing fingers at either of them. But I was very happy to see the two of them chit chat and, you know, just clear the air there. And that's my Love Island Beyond the Villa recap. They're definitely, it's getting really good, and now it's ending. So I am sad, but I thought this season was fine. It was something to kind of keep us entertained through the summer. I thought, like, to kind of keep our Love Island whistles wet. I didn't feel fatigued either, which was nice. Like, I didn't feel like I was watching too much. I think it was really well the way that like Love Island ended, then Beyond the Villa started, and like now Beyond the Villa is ending right after the reunion. I think they really paced it really well. I didn't get too fatigued from it. But now I'm like, damn, I guess, I mean, there is Love Island Games. I don't know if I'll watch that, but like I won't recap it, I don't think. But it's crazy. I feel like it was like Love Island nonstop for the last few months, and now it's like cold turkey, we're done. But that is the name of the game. And now we will have until next summer to see what happens in Fiji. And with that, we have made it to the final segment of the show, which you guys know we end every single episode with a yes and a mess. A yes being something I am loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. And we always start things on a high note. And my yes this week is Miss Addison Rae. She kicked off her tour, her Addison tour, her first solo headlining tour, and she is just such a star. She is the sparkles that come down during Diet Pepsi, her outfits, her looks, like she is giving early 2000s pop star realness, and I am buying everything she is selling. I do have tickets to her show in Brooklyn, and I am counting down the days to seeing her at the Brooklyn Paramount, which is already one of my favorite venues. So like seeing Addison at my favorite venue is going to be a match made in heaven. I am so excited, but this tour just looks so much fun. Does it look like the craziest, most out of this world produced tour? No, I wasn't expecting that from Addison Rae. She has one album. It's her first solo tour. Like, I'm not expecting everything from it. It's a smaller, it's a smaller type tour. However, I just feel like has such a hold on her vision and like who she is that like she knows how to nail it. I mean, her VIP package, you literally do a sound bath with her. Like she is just so true to who she is, I feel like, and fully just like embraces the weirdness that is Addison Rae, and then gets on stage and like does a little cunty dance and like does her whole thing. I'm buying everything that Addison Rae is selling, and I am so excited for this tour to come to New York and to live out my Addison Rae fantasy in Brooklyn later this year. Oh, Addison Rae, you will always be a superstar in my house. And switching over to my mess of the week, it was announced today that there is a new Wizard of Oz themed contemporary television show titled Dorothy coming out in the next few months, which if you know me, you know that normally I would be over the moon, so excited for anything Wizard of Oz. That is my movie. I love anything Oz related. However, Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton are the producers of this show. And now, how do I say this without, actually, fuck it. I don't need a filter. We do not need Republicans touching the Wizard of Oz. We do not need people who do not, I don't know if they don't necessarily support the LGBTQIA plus community and, everything in that sense. But like, I'm just assuming after watching Gwen Stefani do a Bible app ad and like just knowing Blake, I don't think these are the right people to be touching a story that has so much queer culture rooted into it. I mean, even in the original L. Frank Baum novels, there's trans characters in Oz. Like it is such a queer coded, friend of Dorothy is literally what gay people call themselves for years. It's still like a very used term. Like it is a very gay, queer, accepting of everybody term. And to see that Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani, not that they're bad people or like evil people or don't accept everybody, but like I'm not 100% convinced that they really love everybody for who they are. I do think they are a little selective in who they believe should have their rights and things like that. But again, this is just what I'm assuming and just what I'm thinking. But I just don't think Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani are the right people to be touching this. And this project just seems, especially when they're like, it's a contemporary series of The Wizard of Oz titled Dorothy. I'm like, how contemporary are we making it? Like, how contemporary are we going to get Dorothy Gale? Because like she is already from Kansas. So like, what are we elaborating on there? Because like, I'm a little worried. There wasn't much information that I could see that came out about it, just like the title, that it was happening and they were working on it. But I'm definitely looking at this, from a distance, and I'm not getting my hopes up for the show. If this was like a TV show produced, even like Ryan Murphy or like somebody who isn't Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani producing a show titled Dorothy based on The Wizard of Oz, like I would be over the rainbow, for lack of a better words. I'd be thrilled. But this just doesn't seem right. Something about it is stirring up something inside me that doesn't feel fabulous. And I don't like to not feel fabulous. Like it's kind of like my whole thing. I start every episode saying, hope you're having a fabulous week. And I mean it. I want everybody to have a fabulous day, fabulous week, fabulous life. And this just doesn't align with the fabulosity in which I would want a television show based on Miss Dorothy Gale. But that being said, we have made it to the end of this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating. It is the best way to help support this show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, press all of the buttons except for dislike. You guys know the drill by now. If you would like some extra moments from the week that are just Too Pop to Handle in between podcast episodes, head over to toopoptohandle.substack.com and subscribe to my weekly newsletter Popping In, where you will get extra pop culture moments from the week sent to your inbox every single week and that you could bring to your weekend weekend brunch, bring to your family dinner, whatever it may be. You'll be up on the know on everything happening in the pop culture world. And if all of that is not enough and you want some more of me, because I mean, I can't blame you. Who wouldn't want more of me in their life, some more fabulosity in their life? You can follow me on social media at 2pop2handle or at Andrew Nucatola. And with that, like I said, next week it's pre-recorded, so I apologize in advance, but I don't even apologize because it was such a fun interview and I think you guys are going to love it. And I think it'll be nice to give you guys a little break from my normal yapping and gibberish and give you guys a little switch up. You know, there's nothing wrong with a little remix for the podcast here and there. So interview next week, but I will be back the week after with a VMA recap. We'll talk about Sabrina and everything else going on in the world that is just too pop to handle. And with that, I will catch you guys next week or in 2 weeks. Bye.